Hello, I am beginning today's reading vlog in a much different locale, and that is because I have taken myself to the beach to begin reading The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. This comes out on August 6th, but I was very fortunate enough to win a Goodreads giveaway, and I have an ARC here, and I'm so excited to read this book because Red, White, and Royal Blue is one of my favorite contemporary romance books ever, and that was Casey McQuiston's debut. So I'm really hoping that this book here delivers on everything that I loved about Red, White, and Royal Blue, but with some new characters and a new setting. We follow Theo and Kit, who are exes. They broke up apparently brutally on a flight to their dream European food and wine tour, and they went their separate ways, began their own separate lives. Theo is a bartender, Kit is working as a baker in one of the finest restaurants in Paris, and they're doing just fine apart. And then they decide individually that they would like to claim the unused voucher for that European food and wine tour. But when they get there, they realize they both had the exact same idea and they're stuck together for 3 weeks. Trapped in proximity to one another, Theo places a bet to see who can sleep with their hot Italian tour guide first, and Kit is game. But why stop there? Why not a full-on European hookup competition? Now, usually I don't like the second chance at love trope, but I'm putting my faith in McQuiston can deliver it with a European setting and lots of good food and drink with compelling characters and hopefully some great banter, and deliver it in a package that I will just absolutely adore. So I'm gonna begin reading this book and sunbathe a little bit with my SPF 60 and probably go for a swim or two, and I will give you an update probably once I'm home as to my initial thoughts. Update time, and I am loving The Pairing. I'm about a third of the way in now, and like I said, second chance romance isn't usually my favorite trope, but I am absolutely adoring and rooting for Theo and Kit. We follow Theo. Theo is our main POV character. We haven't had a POV chapter from Kit, and I'm not sure if we will, but I'm loving Theo's perspective and the way that Theo sees the different cities that they're visiting. McQuiston has done an incredible job. It's incredibly immersive. So far, the tour has gone through Paris and Bordeaux and Saint-Jean-de-Luz, and they are coming up to Barcelona now. That's the chapter that I'm about to begin. And it's been a few years since they broke up. They didn't expect to see one another on this trip, and they're just trying to peacefully coexist. Then that dare began to see how many people each of them could hook up with, to see who would hook up with the most amount of people. And Theo definitely has some unresolved feelings for Kit that they're trying to like work through and squash and not acknowledge. And Kit absolutely still has feelings for Theo too. So I'm just loving the tension that's happening, the banter, the moments where they slip back into the really intense close friendship that they had before they began dating, because they are childhood best friends. So that bond really, really runs deep, and I'm loving the way that McQuiston is bringing that to life on the page. Like I said, I'm only a third of the way through, but I'm absolutely, absolutely adoring this book. It feels like a fantastic summer read. I just want to follow along on the map with them as they visit all of these cities. And Theo is visiting these European cities for the very first time. And McQuiston does an incredible job of describing the sights, the sounds, the smells, and making it a really immersive experience for the reader. So yes, those are my thoughts so far. I'm absolutely loving it. I have a feeling that this might be a 5-star book. It feels preemptive to say that without even getting to the halfway mark. But I am so looking forward to how this all comes together. And yes, I'm gonna sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee and continue reading this book. And I will let you know, maybe when I'm about 2/3 of the way through, some more of my thoughts. But for now, yes, let's get to reading. A very quick update to say that I have crossed over into the second half of the book, and we now have switched POVs. So now we are following Kit's perspective. And at the very beginning of the pairing, there are 2 flashbacks from Theo's perspective as to when Theo and Kit's relationship began for Theo and when it ended from Theo's perspective. And at the halfway point in this book, we had the beginning Kit's version and then the end Kit's version. So I haven't read the first chapter from Kit's perspective just yet, and I had to come on camera and acknowledge that we've switched POVs, and I'm so excited because Monaco got it quite steamy, and I absolutely loved it. So yes, we will see if I finish the pairing tonight. I think I'm gonna try and finish up the pairing today, but we will see, and I will update you when I have more to say. I have finished the pairing and I absolutely loved it. I loved it. It was just an incredible story. As you can see, I've gone back and I added some sticky notes to certain passages and turns of phrase that I just fell in love with. I started doing it actually around this part when I was reading, and then I had to go back and add in just a few more, and I loved it so much. I think this is the perfect summer read. McQuiston did an incredible job with creating a really immersive book. And sometimes I'm someone who loves description, but sometimes it can feel a little bit out of place. if the way a character is describing a setting or a person doesn't fit in with either that character or the character they're describing. But McQuiston described the stones in Pisa as being the color of French buttercream, and then went into the process of what makes French buttercream have that different color. And it makes sense because Kit, who is describing Pisa that way, is a pastry chef, and all of that makes so much sense to Kit's character. And that is just one example of many for the beautiful way that McQuiston describes the sights and the smells and the taste of these two characters and their whirlwind trip around France and Spain and Italy, with the brief time in London at the beginning. The pairing it's a story about Brodam. The pairing is a story about beginnings and endings, and being willing to begin again, and how scary and terrifying that can be, but being willing to take that risk. And that's a common theme throughout the books by McQuiston that I have read, which is only Red, White, and Royal Blue at this point in time, but just being willing to take that risk for another person. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful theme, and I love that it repeats itself in the pairing. I'm hesitant to say that the pairing is my new favorite book by McQuiston because I adore Red, White, and Royal Blue so much. I actually read Red, White, and Royal Blue on the way home from Paris. I picked it up at the Abbey bookshop there, and then I read it on the plane ride home to Canada, and I remember sobbing in my seat on the airplane and getting a few concerning looks. But I also sobbed at the ending of the pairing, and I adore Theo and Kit just as much as I adored Alex and Henry. Maybe a little bit more because they've been through the trials and tribulations of life, perhaps a little bit more, at least in life throughout the course of their relationship, whereas Alex and Henry are at the very beginning of their relationship in Red, White, and Royal Blue. Theo and Kit have already experienced that, and am I spoiling things? I just went on a very, very long ramble about how much I loved the pairing and compared it to Red, White, and Royal Blue. I'm not sure how much of that I'm going to be able to keep in because I may have spoiled the ending. So we'll see when it comes time to edit how much of that stays in the final vlog. But for now, I think I'm just going to leave it at that. By the time this vlog goes up, I will have written my review, so I'll leave that linked down below. But if you are someone who loves rom-coms, who loves sexual tension, this is a very, very sexually charged book. Our characters are feeling all of the hormones. They're 28 years old, but they're feeling all of the hormones, and it is a very sexually charged book. So it is explicit. There is a lot of sex that happens on the page, and a lot of just talking about sex and exploring sexuality. That all takes place in the pairing. But if you're okay with those themes, if you love rom-coms, if you love that tension, that banter, perhaps if you love the second chance trope, I think you will really love this book. And if you love Europe, if you love those 3 countries in Europe that I listed, because that's where we really explore, I would highly, highly, highly recommend the pairing to you, because I think that you will absolutely adore it. Or at the very least, I hope that you will adore it as much as I have. But for now, yes, thank you so much for watching this vlog, and I will be back soon with a new one. Bye for now.